Hi guys, my name's Rob. I'm one of the designers on Legends Reborn. I just wanted to go ahead and walk you guys through one of the decks we made for the alpha coming up. Deck we're going to be talking about right now is the Kick Me deck. Deck is built around the idea of building up a bunch of stacking armors and buffs to punish your opponent for hitting you while having enough survivability and regen and things to survive you just letting them hit you. I went ahead and started by, we're going to start with the hero here, which is the Knight hero, which I don't think we've named publicly yet. So that is a teaser for another time. The Knight's key feature here is their pool of hero cards, which as you'll see are a bunch of different armor types they apply globally to their team when they are activated. These armors are kind of the basis for this deck. They all sit on your creatures and then punish the opponent in some way for attacking you, whether it be burning them, poisoning them, freezing them, confusing them, blinding them. So with that in mind, and keep that in mind as we go through the rest, we'll start with the first of the creatures, which is the Glade Spriggan. Glade Spriggan is one of the squishier members of the team, but it was selected specifically for its passive, Quick Wit, which is when any friendly creature goes below 40%, we grant a damage shield to that creature. This helps immensely into the survivability of the team and allows us to keep returning passive damage from being hit. You'll notice a lot of these are passives because that's more action economy that I don't have to spend protecting myself. It just happens automatically. As far as card loadout for the Spriggan goes, another source of shield, relatively cheap. Corporeal Smite, which is an area direct damage ability. Since a lot of this deck is focused on defensive stuff, having a couple tools in the toolbox for raw HP damage to help whittle down very large creatures that I might not normally have the damage output to deal with is very important. A little bit of energy regen, because that is never not good. This is actual health regen, because like I said, taking damage all the time, specifically trying to channel damage into certain creatures, I need to constantly be able to repair that damage. And then this is a magic attack card that has the addition of adding a break resistance when I attack. These magic attack cards that are sprinkled throughout the deck are here to make the squishier, non-attack focused creatures like the Glade Spriggan to have brief periods where they can use their magic damage to augment your damage output. Next up, we have the Flaywing Harasser, which is a nasty little imp, which also has a passive that works into this strategy. At the start of the turn, grant Void Armor and Resistance Boost for one turn to any creature below 65%. So once again, when my creatures get low, they are immediately buffed and become infinitely harder to deal with. His loadout's pretty similar in the fact that it grants, I've got some armor, more armor cards, some more defense boosts, more resistance boosts, which is the opposite of defense. This is magic counterattack. It's very cheap, and it just sets it up so that some of these high magic damage creatures can also have a little bit of something on them to dissuade people from wanting to attack them, as well as more void armor. Now we're getting into the first of the two tanks for the deck. This is the Stoneshear Golem. Very high health pool, which is important, as well as, once again, a passive, Barricade, which at the start of my turn grants resistance and defense boost to any creature below 45% hit points. Once again, as my creatures get low, they get tough. Another source of armor that just happens to have an attack attached to it. This is the first instance of Bravery, which is it's a taunt mechanic that lets me redirect all of an opponent's attacks into one of my two tanky creatures, which simplifies what I have to heal. Another Bravery. This one just happens to also be accompanied by an attack. This is a attack spike card. It just makes the next attack coming out of a creature a little bit more powerful. Like I said, none of these creatures are really crazy when it comes to their attack output, and this just helps with that. And then this is another area defense boost. This is an important creature. This is the Harpy Gale Shaman. Her passive is called Turn the Tides. If I have less cards in my hand than the opponent, at the start of the turn, I grant area Radiant Armor and area Attack Spike. This is very good as a area ability because I put her between the two tanks, and she just constantly buffs the tank so long as I've put in some effort to keep my hand size below the opponent's. Every turn, a new set of Radiant Armor, and every turn, a new set of Attack Spike. It is probably one of the more important pieces of this deck. She has a very expensive auto revive, which just I can put on usually her or any of the other squishy creatures, just so that if my opponent gets wise to the strategy and tries to take out one of the automatic sources of healing or shielding, it gives me a second chance to keep him alive. She has a particularly expensive but very good double attack trigger, just to, if I happen to get one of my physical attackers buffed up, I can capitalize on that by having them attack twice. She's got a really cheap heal. I've got another relatively cheap area regen. And then, very importantly, I have a cleanse. The cleanse's purpose is there are certain debuffs that hamper my ability to use all of these passives that are just going off automatically. This gives me the chance to try and clear that. So if I happen to have Confuse on an important creature or something that blocks that, I can try and wipe that clean. Last but not least is what I consider the primary tank of this loadout, which is the Scarmaw Troll. Once again, huge health pool. Middling kind of attack stats. Decent defense stats. His passive makes him relatively easy to tank with. When he's damaged, there's a 25% chance it starts a regen buff on him, which slowly picks his health back up for 2 turns. If you're doing this right and you're funneling a lot of your bravery into him so that he's attacked a lot, there's a very good chance that triggers. This triggers yet more healing. Since I'm kind of trying to channel a lot of damage into him, I like to be able to heal him a lot. Another good double attack trigger card. That should be self-explanatory. This one's a source of bravery, which once again helps me channel a lot of the damage into the troll so that the troll's passive can trigger. Now, this one is a vampiric trigger, so I get 50% vampiric for every negative effect on this creature. Since I'm channeling a lot of attacks into him with bravery and surviving a lot of those attacks based on the HP regen and the various heal cards, he tends to build up a decent chunk of debuffs on him just from secondary effects from being attacked. With enough of them, I can then pop Blood Saturation, which will allow me to attack with him, and then regain essentially 50%, a stack of Vampiric for 50% of the damage for every debuff on him. So if I have 4 debuffs on him, that'll be 200% of the damage that he does, he'll get back his health. It just helps me keep him topped off. And then a very cheap defense boost. Altogether, it makes this deck very difficult to deal with the tanks, and you kind of feel in control for most of the game because nothing's particularly threatened. All right, thanks for listening, guys.